Hello, everybody. Sean here, and today we have a special guest, which is my grappling coach, former classmates, and my friend Sam. And this interview is about letting people outside of the martial arts thing to understand maybe, or maybe even for white belt practitioner to clear their confusion about grappling and jiu-jitsu and learn more about modern grappling trend and Sam's coaching philosophy. Yeah, okay. So the first part of the interview is like, can you briefly introduce yourself and your martial arts background?
Sure. My name's Sam Tisdale. I've been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 12 years. I'm a brown belt. I compete a lot in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Before that, I wrestled in high school. So a combined total of almost 20 years of grappling. I did 2 MMA fights. So I have some boxing experience, Muay Thai experience as well. Not so much judo, but yeah, I've done a lot of martial arts experience.
Okay. Okay, so you start with folk style or freestyle wrestling in high school or college, like
High school. So in the U.S., we do a different style of wrestling than the rest of the world. Our style is called folk style.
Yeah.
We do wrestle a lot of freestyle.
in high school.
Yeah, in high school. So the way wrestling works in the U.S. is that you, in middle school and high school, you wrestle for your school. Your school has like a team, and so you wrestle for your middle school or high school team, and that is usually folk style.
Yeah.
And folk style is in high school all the way up to college. And then, but what happens is in the spring, most of us would continue wrestling. We would wrestle freestyle, which is more of an Olympic style wrestling. So I have wrestled freestyle before. And so, there's a few different rules between folk style and freestyle. Folk style being you can't touch your hands unless you're going for a pin. And the point system's different too. And freestyle, if you're down on the ground for 30 seconds and there's like, the ref feels like there's no action, they'll stand you back up and then you try to take each other down. But in folk style, they do not do that. So,
Okay.
it's a few nuanced different rules in it, but yeah.
So, but definitely like wrestling background is a great preparation in terms of athleticism or just similar to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's like
I think it's a
lead
good,
up to.
I think having a wrestling background is important because in wrestling you already know. So jiu-jitsu and wrestling are very similar in the sense that you're both trying to grab another person, control what they do, move them, manipulate them to the way that you want it, but the rules are different. And they're very different rules. But so if you come into jiu-jitsu with a wrestling background, you already know how to grab a person.
Yeah.
You already know how to use your hips. You already know about balance and base. So you know how to keep yourself from getting knocked over. And so those are principles that I've seen people who come in with zero experience with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They have to learn that through Jiu-Jitsu, where if you already have wrestling, you kind of already
It's
have.
a big advantage. Right?
Yeah, you already know, like I said, you know how to use your hips, you know how to control a person, you know how to, you know some of like how to control the joint, like, so there's some.
Yeah, there's some similarity in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And any other athletic career like besides martial arts, like maybe track and field or any like.
For me?
Yeah, in the youth, yeah.
Yeah, I played American football, I played soccer, and I did track and field.
Okay. Because I feel like it's super important for it's a very narrow window for like movement development, because a lot of time when a 30-year-old guy sit behind a desk for 10 years and they try jiu-jitsu and they get kind of like moving very awkward. So that's yeah. If you have a coaching history, maybe you'll notice that.
Yeah, I think if you come in with already an athletic background, especially like wrestling
and American football. Like,
yeah,
you have tackles.
You already have some sort of your body is able to handle some damage,
Sure.
or your body has adapted to doing sports, so being able to jump, fall down, get back up, just explosive movement, cardio. So if someone who doesn't have this athletic experience, like you said, and they're 30 years old and they come into jiu-jitsu right away, it's going to be a little bit difficult. It's going to be quite hard, actually.
I mean, like jiu-jitsu, one of those sports that can start like fairly late. Like you can't start judo, like pure judo, as 35 years old, but you can start jiu-jitsu like 40 years old.
Yeah.
At least, from my observation.
You can and you can't.
Yeah. It's much harder.
It depends on your like I said, it depends on your athletic ability, your body type, and just your natural athletic skills and abilities.
Okay. So the second block of the interview is about judo versus jiu-jitsu. So the reason I ask this question is because in Mandarin, I mean, in English-speaking country, that judo and jiu-jitsu, probably people know the difference.
Yeah.
But in Mandarin, it's hard for people to.
Yeah, it's Rodao and
Roshu.
Yeah, and they both have the ro.
Yeah.
So
every time I went to open mat, and the guy said, "Isn't jiu-jitsu from Japan?" And I was like, "That's judo." Okay, so what would you say is the distinction between the difference between jiu-jitsu and judo, just for people who are totally lame?
I think there's a few big differences. One difference being is the rules and what you wear.
Yeah.
So in judo, you wear like a gi jacket, like a jacket, and you wear pants. And what you're trying to do in judo is you're trying to throw your opponent. You're trying to get their legs over their head and their back hits the mat. So you get what's called an ippon. And then that's an automatic win. Or you can try to submit your opponent, meaning like you can choke them or you can attack their arm. And you're allowed to fight on the ground for about
30 seconds.
30 seconds, and if nothing happens, they stand you back up. In jiu-jitsu, basically you said, okay, let's take that part of judo where you fight on the ground for 30 seconds, but let's let them do it for...
Until somebody gets it.
Yeah, we're just going to keep letting them go. And so... And then where jiu-jitsu gets a little bit more complicated is there's two types of jiu-jitsu. There's gi jiu-jitsu, where it's like you wear the same clothes as they do in judo. And then there's no gi jiu-jitsu, where it's where you wear like a rash guard, like very tight-fitting clothes and shorts. So there's no grips. Because in judo and gi jiu-jitsu, you're allowed to grab the clothes and you're allowed to pants. You're allowed to use that to manipulate. And no gi jiu-jitsu, or more like grappling, you don't have that ability. So I would say the huge difference is the rules and techniques, because rules always shape the techniques, in my opinion. So yeah.
But like in a lot of no competition nowadays, like ADCC, CJI, we see a lot of wrestling and judoka entering the competition. So what do you think is the crossover between like some of the classic judo throws and blend into non-no situations?
I think
Uchinada, or like...
I think the one thing about you see a lot of no-gi grapplers use a technique from judo is a lot of foot sweeps. Yeah. What a foot sweep is basically your opponent standing and I use my foot to kick your foot from underneath you so you fall down. And I think that is a carryover because it's such a low risk, high reward. All you have to do is time it, and if you get it, you get it. But if you don't get it, you didn't put yourself out of position. So I think we'll see a lot of foot sweeps, and I think there's a lot of judo throws as a way to counter some of the wrestling. Because
it's interesting.
Yes, I feel like they use judo to not every judo throw, I think there's some judo throws that really put you
unrealistic.
Yeah, it will put you out of position. But there's some throws like an uchimata or haragoshi where you're allowed to, you don't really put yourself out of risk, out of position.
Like do not expose the back.
You don't expose your back real bad. And so you see a lot of like people will use wrestling and they'll use some of these. And actually when I did high school wrestling, we actually did some of these judo throws, but they were called a different name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, so they were just different
so for instance, like haragoshi might be called like a hip tosser. Like,
yeah, we would just call it differently. Yeah.
Okay.
Like Uchimata was called a wizard throw. And like, yeah, so we actually did those techniques, but I think we see a lot of the judo come in as well, because also I think if you're an older grappler, it's harder to learn how to shoot.
A double leg.
Yeah, than it is to learn an upper body takedown. I think it's a little bit easier to sometimes learn.
Maybe because the level changed, that the predator.
Yeah, I think like for me, I grew up wrestling since I was young, so I know how to do level changes and I know how to shoot because I learned how to do it when I was super young. But I think for older grapplers, it's harder to learn that movement and it's a bit hurts. And I think as I'm getting older, I don't always like to shoot because it's a really explosive movement and it's actually a quite difficult body movement and it's a really hard timing and it's really hard to set up. But if you know how to do it, it's super effective takedown. So I think some of the people who come from a jiu-jitsu background and they're trying to learn takedowns, judo is an easier style of takedowns to learn.
Because it's like I think the double leg in judo is like canceled in like a decade ago.
Yeah, they're starting to try to bring it back. So I know the International Japanese
IJF.
No, it's the Japanese International Judo Federation. They allowed leg grabs again. And the reason for that they banned leg grabs was because, what's the most exciting part of judo is seeing someone get thrown.
Yeah.
And so they took leg grabs out to make it more fan friendly to try to
a spectator view.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next part is about gi versus no gi. And what are some of the key differences in strategy pace and technical emphasis between gi and no gi?
I think the big one off the bat is that gi jiu-jitsu, you have a jacket and pants, which you're allowed to grab and your opponent's allowed to grab yours. Whereas no gi, there isn't that. And a big difference between gi jiu-jitsu and no gi jiu-jitsu. And no gi jiu-jitsu, you're allowed to do certain leg attacks, especially leg attacks that attack the knee. Like they're called heel hooks. You're not allowed to do that in gi jiu-jitsu. You're only allowed to attack. Actually, I don't think there's any major jiu-jitsu federation that has a gi rule set that allows heel hooks. I think they're all banned.
All leg locks or triangle locks?
No. So like heel hooks in the gi.
Yeah.
We're talking IBJJF, AGP, like Grappling Industries, Naga, like these federations or these associations that do gi tournaments, they all banned knee leg locks.
Okay.
But you're allowed to do ankle locks and toe holds and knee bars in the gi. So I think that's the two big differences is that no gi, you don't have to close the grab onto and you're allowed to do certain leg attacks you can't do in gi. In gi, you are allowed to grab each other's clothes and use it. And actually, gi jiu-jitsu actually has more submissions than no gi submission because
the lapel.
Because you have the jacket here and you're allowed to grab it and use it to choke your opponent. So I think, and as to your other question about the pace, I think they're kind of the same. I think they're both pretty fast and intense. I just think the strategy is different and the techniques that you do are different. Because again, rules dictate the techniques that you do. And I think what's happening now is what we're seeing is that no gi jiu-jitsu and gi jiu-jitsu are kind of becoming second sports. You do have people who do both, but you're starting to see more people that really do. I'm only a gi jiu-jitsu guy or I'm only a no gi guy. Because I think if if you want to win major tournaments,
Yeah, you have to focus on one.
you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's too hard, but that's why guys like Mika Yaval, who's won it in both, like you still have these guys that do it, but it's becoming harder and harder. And so guys are trying to
Separate and
specialize. All right, I'm going to be a no-gi guy or I'm going to be a gi guy.
So, which one do you like personally prefer, gi or no-gi? And maybe the reason.
Top, I actually like them both because I train
Both.
6 days a week.
Oh, okay.
And 3 days a week I train no-gi, and 3 days a week I train
Pretty balanced.
gi. So it depends on what kind of tournament I'm having come up, and I like them both.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and it's not that one is better than the other. I think I go through different phases. Like maybe at this time I'm liking gi more than no-gi, but maybe I go, like right now I'm enjoying no-gi more, but like a few months ago I was enjoying gi like way more. Like I was doing that. Like, so I think for me, it's like seasons. They're changing.
Because almost, I'm just quoting, like people say that this is almost like two different sports right now.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's still grappling.
Yeah.
And so, no-gi jiu-jitsu and gi jiu-jitsu have the most similarities out of all the grappling sports because it's the same rules, same point scoring system. It's just the techniques are a little different, but for the most part, it's the same idea. Pass your opponent's guard, improve to a better position, take their back, mount, get a submission. It's still the same idea in both gi jiu-jitsu and no-gi jiu-jitsu.
Okay. So what do you think no-gi has taken from wrestling compared to judo? Okay, so let's rephrase this question. So, for the stand-up game of no-gi, what wrestling or judo is a better, like, if you want to focus on one?
I think it depends on what you prefer. I don't think it's one's better than the other. I think, yeah, I think it's just which, like I said, it depends on what your age is, what your athletic ability is. Like, if you're a younger, like 20-year-old blue belt, I think you could start learning to shoot and do wrestling. But I think if you're an older grappler so like a 20-year-old blue belt, I think they can learn wrestling. But like if you're like a 37-year-old blue belt,
Define old in jiu-jitsu in grappling.
I shouldn't say, yeah, 37 is actually pretty young. But I'm saying if you've only been training, you started training at 35 and now you're 37, I think it's going to be much harder to learn wrestling shots. And like what I said earlier, I think it's easier to learn some of the judo techniques because some of them are like an example, like I said earlier, foot sweeps are just low risk, high reward. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. But I think it depends on your age, what your body type, what kind of takedowns you prefer. Yeah, I think some of that's personality.
Oh, great. Okay. And the next part is about the coaching perspective. Okay. So, do you have any like coaching history?
Yeah.
Wrestling or grappling?
Track and field.
Wow. Okay. So this is, how do you usually help beginners to build a solid grappling foundation if future you have that?
I should say I've taught jiu-jitsu quite a bit as well. For beginners to teach them jiu-jitsu?
Build a solid grappling foundation. Yeah. So what are some of the main themes that will be laid out?
I think it's first just teach them how to be safe.
Oh,
safety first. Okay. Teach them just simple things like how to break fall. So if you fall, how to fall properly so you don't break your arm. How to not, as we say in jiu-jitsu, be a spaz. Spaz means like you're violently exploding with your body and you're not really doing a technique.
Yeah.
You're going to get you or your partner hurt.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing to teach them. Teach them how to breathe properly because, people are, it's like, hey, you gotta.
And that's me.
Yeah, you gotta slow your breathing down. Try to, teach them that they don't have to be so tense. You don't have to be like this. It's actually more, you want to be more loose, and the more loose you are, the more relaxed you are, and then the more relaxed you are, though, you're able to think, you're able to start grappling. So I teach them more things like that, and obviously, teach them what the positions are and why this is a good position.
Okay.
Like why, I've seen, I'm guilty of this. I used to teach beginners closed guard, but then they have no context. Like, what is a closed guard?
Oh.
Why am I in between this person's leg? So you have to teach them context of okay, so what this position is, why this position is important. And yeah, I think basic things like that. Teach them what the positions are, what basic submissions you're trying to do. All right, if this person's doing this to you, this needs to be your first reaction, so that you are, yeah. And, it's more basic things like that. I wouldn't say it's so much a technique, but it's more just
concept.
It's safety concepts, and just, so that you have a healthy relationship with staying on the mat, and, you're not just getting hurt and you're not hurting others.
Okay, so for students who mainly train in no-gi, which is me, what do you think they should still take from gi training? Or as a total beginner, let's say 6 months in, should I only train no-gi, or should I also train gi?
Depends on what you want.
I'm sorry, because a lot of people said that in your white belt phase, it's 90% gi. Even you want to go no-gi at the end eventually. So
I've actually never heard that.
That's a purple belt told me that.
I think if you're a white belt and hey, I just want to do no-gi stuff, go ahead, do it. I think or if you want to train both, train both. I mean, I would suggest hey, try out gi, try it out, see if you like it. You might like it, try it out for a month or two, but if you don't like it, then sure, never put it on again. But if a person comes in and they're like, no, I strictly just want to be no-gi, I'll be like, yeah, that's what you want to do. I'm not here to tell you what you can and can't do and how you should train. It's totally up to you, what you want out of your grappling experience. I will give you suggestions, but I'm not going to force you to do it.
But a lot of time when I see the schedule on one gym or dojo, that's maybe 80% of the lessons are gi class.
Yeah.
And maybe 2 or 3 are no-gi. So I think maybe they think this is a better fundamental for beginners. I don't know.
No, I think, it's just, I think what you see, it depends on what the instructor is. Maybe that instructor, they want their school to be a more gi-based school, and that's what they want. Because, you have some gyms that are just 100% no gi based, and that's what the instructor wants, that's what they want. And so if that instructor is like, you know what, I want to do more, that's totally up to them. That's their, and and that's the great thing about jiu-jitsu is if you find the gym that's
suited for you.
Yeah, it's suited for you. So if you want to do more no-gi, you can try to find that. And again, one isn't better than the other. No-gi isn't better than gi. Gi isn't better than no-gi. It's just all about personal preference.
Okay. Yeah. So I attended one lesson of you. So your teaching style, it's more about games and play. For example, I remember 2 drills. It's actually not drill. It's a game. It's overhook, underhook, and the overhook guys try to sneak peek the other guys, and underhook.
No, it's the underhook guys.
Okay.
Hook. Yeah.
And the overhook try to hip toss or
foot sweep.
Oh, yeah, the guy. And the other drill is you can't use your hand to grab the ankle, and you can post, or you can set a hook in, but you have to use your leg to retain the guard.
Yeah.
So it's more make me a problem solving kind of philosophy. And I also went to other school, and maybe I have 2 or 3 drills there, and each week are just very.
It's just more like you just drill and your partner gives you zero resistance.
Yeah. The technique is, and also there's a ecological approach created by Greg Saunders.
Well, actually, he didn't create it. It was actually a guy named Rob Gray.
Oh.
I actually read the book.
Okay.
I read the whole ecological dynamics book. It was
So what's your opinion on drill based, very traditional, and or it's in a happy medium, or it's
so I go back to when I was learning, when I was in high school wrestling, because my coach made us do both.
Oh, okay.
And we at the time, we probably had no idea what ecological approaches and what ecological approach is basically like. People learn movement-based patterns best because we learn from our environment, and our environment gives us feedback of what works and what doesn't work. And so actually it was originally made for baseball. And so what Rob Gray, he's a sports scientist, did was that he was trying to increase people's batting percentages. And so what he did instead of, because he saw that a lot of baseball teams would just use a pitching machine and it would just be the same speed, same pitch every time. And so he was like, well, that's not realistic to an actual baseball game because the pitcher is always changing his pitches up. So that's what he started he based all his research off of. So he started to change the amount of speed that it would come out. And then the next time he would change the angle to try to, and actually he did it, I think more in VR first. He did it with VR so that the batters never knew what the next pitch was, and it actually increased their batting averages. And I think he did this with the Chicago Cubs.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's a very and then he started to develop it for other sports. He did it for basketball, soccer, I think tennis as well. And so he created this, and then there was a jiu-jitsu coach named Greg Saunders who kind of latched on to this teaching, and then he translated it over to jiu-jitsu. But for me, in wrestling, we kind of just did a mixture of both, but we didn't even know what this sports science was. It's just that was always how wrestling practices always work. We did a combination of what we would call dead drilling, where our opponent gives us zero resistance. And then we started to do games where it's like, okay, this person, you just have to defend, and this other person, you have to touch your opponent's knees, or you have to shoot in on them. Or we would do drills where it's like, because in wrestling we have a boundary, it's a big ring. Okay, one person has a single leg, and the other person you're trying to get outside of the ring. And the person with the single leg, you have to try to keep and pull them in, so that you're learning to do drills based on your environment. And so we just naturally always in wrestling, we did games like this. So it was just
it's kind of new for jiu-jitsu.
It's kind of new for jiu-jitsu, yeah, because jiu-jitsu was always based off of just your partner gives you zero resistance. This
drilling.
I kind of do a mixture of both. So I will first present a problem that we see a lot in jiu-jitsu, where it's like, I give the context, and then I give the rules of the game, and I just watch people play the game. And my only role as a coach is just to make sure that you're playing the game right, that you're not breaking the rules. Because believe me, I give simple rules and people always break it. So the job as me as the coach is just to make sure that everyone's playing the game. And even if I see people doing a bad technique, I make sure not to correct them.
Ooh.
Because it's like, you need to learn yourself first before I come in and correct it. And so I don't even know if this is a correct, I would guess you quote say a true ecological approach, because I first do the game, we take a pause, I ask anyone if they have any questions, and then I try to show how I would do it, and I try to get other higher belts to show how they would solve the problem, so that people aren't just only listening to me, because my body type is different from your body type. I'm just saying this is how I would do it, and we would ask. And then I would show, and then I would say, okay, try to give them a more of a concrete way to solve this problem now, and then we play the game again with the new information. And now I'm more willing to come in and start to correct people. And so
you first present the problem and let them think, and then you give a little input and people do it again, they do much better than previous time, right?
Yeah, I hope so. But then there's times too, it's like, I really do think you need to, I guess we would say dead drill, because if it's a new movement pattern, you might need to practice it a couple times.
Pathway.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be doing it 50 times in a row. That isn't a good use of your time. I think maybe like 10 times at most so your body can get used to it. But when I do my own training, I kind of go, all right, I'm just going to practice it a couple times. You give me 0 resistance. And then I say, okay, now can you give me like 20% resistance? And now can you give me 40? Now can you give me 50? And then we increase the
gradually become like positional.
Because it's never going to, but I still believe, that I was influenced a lot by Lachlan Giles' sub-meta. And his sub-meta, I think what he does is he shows the position. He tells you what you are trying to accomplish in this position. You're trying to do this, you're trying to do this, or you're trying to do this. And then he'll show you, this is what your opponent most likely is going to do. This is going to be their reactions. And I always liked how he broke that down. So I kind of try to add his approach into my teaching, because I thought his way of like presenting positions was one of the best, because there's so many times I've gone and people just say, all right, we're in half guard, but a new person doesn't know, what is half guard? Why am I in half guard? Like, what am I trying to do here? And so I think that's really important. I really like that.
And instead of just cramming like a technique, just let them present the problem.
Well, it's more, I'm going to give you context too. Why are we in this position? Yeah, and what are you trying to do in this position? So that people understand, what is the top person trying to do? Because if I just make you go into half guard, new people will be like, well, why am I here? What are they trying to, But if I tell you, hey, you're trying to get to here, or the person on top is trying to go do this, now they start to understand,
the context.
Yeah, the context,
Okay, so you had 2 MMA fights, right? So if a striker comes to you and asks you to become his grappling coach, the striking is no problem, but he wants you to attend the MMA fight. So MMA grappling, which is aims of ground and pound and cage wrestling. So how should he be training like the full jiu-jitsu, or like
how much time do they have to learn?
Let's say 6 months.
6 months is all right. I would just say you would just need to work on just you're not working on takedowns. You're just working on not getting
takedown defense.
That's the only thing you need to be working. You just need to work on. But even then, I think 6 months might be too. You really, really have to hammer it.
Hammer it in.
Yeah, hammer it in, because it's going to be hard to learn, but I would say that's your number one thing you need to focus on. Takedown defense. You're not trying to take these people down. You're just trying to not get taken down.
Okay, and the other thing is about cage wrestling, because like in jiu-jitsu academy or dojo, they have I don't know if a black belt jiu-jitsu coach have expertise in like cage wrestling, because
no, a lot don't.
A lot don't.
Unless they did MMA before.
Okay, so we can't really learn like cage wrestling in jiu-jitsu.
That to me, I think,
because we can't find a wrestling coach unless we go to university.
So I think cage wrestling in a jiu-jitsu class, I think, is a waste of time for the jiu-jitsu class, because jiu-jitsu should just be focused on jiu-jitsu. I think if you want to do cage wrestling, it's going to be more in your MMA class. And I've also seen some schools, they do wrestling for MMA.
Yeah.
And so it's just, and that's how important cage wrestling is that they're saying, okay, here's an MMA class, but this MMA class is only based off of wrestling. And most of the time it's cage wrestling. Yeah. So I think that's how important it is to MMA. And I think that's where you should go learn it. And it's not bad that a jiu-jitsu coach doesn't know cage wrestling because they're jiu-jitsu, you know, it's not part of the rules. I mean, you do have some jiu-jitsu matches that happen in a cage sometimes, but it's more rare than it isn't because I think it's, yeah.
But I think Craig Jones is Alexander Volkanovski's grappling coach, right?
Yeah.
And he's very good at cage wrestling.
Well, I'm sure he's taken the time to study it. I mean, he's a professional. It's his job to.
Well, he's a pure jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's a professional grappler, so he's
well-rounded.
Yeah, he knows how to study grappling. He knows how to watch these videos and learn how to do it. You know, I think he understands, you know, body weight, you know, I mean, not body weight, but like, body control and like where their center of gravity balances. So I think he knows how to do that. So.
Okay. So for you personally, what's the deeper meaning of learning jiu-jitsu or martial arts?
A big question.
Yeah.
How long do you have to?
Because you learned like 12 years, right? So
jiu-jitsu alone was 12 years.
Wow.
Wrestling was like 5 years. So 17. Yeah.
So for me, I feel like it's very like I have to get my ego checked because the first day I go to open mat, I get subbed by 3 girls.
Yeah. I train with people who've been training way less than me, and they sub me, and so
it's like magic. It's like,
so my whole thing is I don't like it when people say that there's no ego in jiu-jitsu. I think it's the complete opposite.
Oh, really?
I think there's a ton of ego in jiu-jitsu because why do you keep coming back? You know what I mean? Because you want to get better and you want to tap those people out. Well, what is that? That's your ego. That's your ego saying like, all right, I'm this level, but I want to get to this level. That's all ego. That's like, so I don't like it when people are like, oh, there's no ego in jiu-jitsu. That's like,
that's what John Danaher said.
I said, no, it's 100% ego.
Yeah,
I think it's 100% ego. I think that's why you keep coming back. But I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of martial arts philosophy. My first jiu-jitsu coach was really into the philosophy of jiu-jitsu, and like, so he was really into like, you know, how can jiu-jitsu help your life, and how can, you know, how can it improve like that aspects. But my current coach is more about like, what's the strategy of jiu-jitsu, whereas like, how can we counter our opponents? Like what are the little strategies that in a competition? And so I think there's 2 cool philosophies that's out there. So one is about like how it can change your life from like outside of jiu-jitsu, and one is like what is the strategic point and strategy, and that can also carry on to other parts of your life of how you think in strategy, because you know there's a lot of like game planning in jiu-jitsu and how you set things up and what you do. And, you know, so I was really cool and kind of blessed to have 2 coaches that were like philosophy, but very different philosophies, and how, you know, I've kind of tried to use both of those philosophies of like for my life. Yeah.
So what did the first coach say?
You know, his philosophy was more about like, jiu-jitsu, you have to keep showing up.
Long journey to get there.
Yeah, you have to show up, and you have to keep going, and you have to keep practicing, and you have to keep improving. And he was really about that, and you know how he was much about like the honor, and you know that martial arts teaches you, how it betters yourself as a person, you know how you slowly, you know. He was all about, I want to see how jiu-jitsu transforms people. And he was like, he always said jiu-jitsu is the only thing where you would ever see a cop and a drug addict, or not a drug addict, like, you know, a pothead, you know, someone who smoke weed in the same room together, training together, you know, well, like a hippie, I guess. That's just like a cop, and they can be friends because they share a common thing of jiu-jitsu. And he was also big on symbolic gestures. It's like, so when he gave me my blue belt, you know, he tied the belt off and he was like, okay, you never undo this belt because this part of your life and your chapter is over, but you take the same steps you took that got you this belt to get your next belt. That's all. He was more like that, whereas my current teacher is more like kind of like the art of war. I guess you could say, you know, the strategic side of.
Let me ask you this question: that does jiu-jitsu attract certain personality? Because I feel like we have a lot of practitioners share some nerdy or
I think that's a big stereotype. I've actually met every kind of person in jiu-jitsu. I've met big meatheads who are just like to be super strong, macho, but then you do meet the super nerdy. I think it's
a stereotype.
I think it's a stereotype. I think I've met every single kind of person. And yeah, every single kind of person in jiu-jitsu. So different personalities, different walks of life, different. So yeah, I don't think there's a really, I just think it's people that just like jiu-jitsu.
Okay. And the last question, we're about to wrap it up. So what's your, if you are going to open a dojo in the future, what's the vision of it? What's
my personal one, or
your personal one?
Or just in general, or my.
Oh, if you're opening one.
Oh, so for me personally.
Yeah.
All right. For me personally, what I want my gym to be like, I just don't want people to feel like they're walking on eggshells. Because, you know, I've been to many gyms before that are very traditional. You know, like you have to bow, you have to talk to an instructor, and that's carried over from Brazil's jiu-jitsu culture, because there's a lot of Brazilians that their gyms are based off of
super serious.
And there's a big hierarchy. I guess my thing is I don't want any hierarchies. So I tell people, do not call me sensei. Do not call me teacher.
Just coach.
You can say coach, that's fine. I will take that. But I'm like, I don't want us lining up by ranks.
Yeah.
I say we're like, this is where it gets kind of weird, because there's some guys that are like, oh, we line up in rank, but you got a blue belt back there that's a doctor with a PhD, and what, he has to bow to a dude that has a black belt? No, it's actually probably the other way around. We should be bowing to the doctor over here. You know what I mean? So it's to me, it's just so silly. It's, you know, to me, I don't want any hierarchies. It's just no one's better than anyone else. I've just been doing jiu-jitsu longer. I have more information than you, and I'm willing to give it to you. It's not this fucking hierarchy bullshit that, you know, can I swear?
Was it? Can I swear? Yeah, sure.
Oh, sorry, I swore. I didn't know that. That's the first time swearing in the interview. Yeah, so I hate that. And actually my first jiu-jitsu coach, he was not I think I learned that from him. He was not into the hierarchy. But you know, I'll say this, my current instructor, he's pretty big on hierarchies, but he probably runs the most organized, most efficient, jiu-jitsu classes that I've ever seen. Everyone is listening to him. Everyone respects him. And it's not that he's asking for the respect, but he's also just a very
it's kind of earned the respect.
A lot of people, he's earned a lot of people's respect. So I want to say he doesn't force you to respect him. It's just the way he acts and the way he goes about himself, and people just naturally respect him. And I guess that's a thing too. I don't want people to feel like they have to
getting forced
to respect me, to bow to me. No. This isn't, I guess for me, a dojo or jiu-jitsu gym it's service based. You're paying me, so I actually should be in service to you, because you are paying me money, and that money's going for my life. So actually, I should be in service to you, the customer, the student.
Rare.
Yeah. It's because this is what it is. You're paying me to learn something. And so you are the customer. So I should be bowing to you. I should be bowing to,
But
you know.
that's hard for a senior practitioner to say that because you already are
It's just people, they don't have business experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just mainly they've never opened a business and they haven't, sometimes these hardcore jiu-jitsu guys, they have lived in a bubble of jiu-jitsu for so long that they forget that there's a real world out there and there's a life outside of jiu-jitsu and that this is a business. And if I ever went to someone to I don't know, had something I had to fix in my house.
Yeah.
And the repairman's like, all right, you need to bow to me. I'd be like, what the hell? I'm paying you to fix my, there's the relationship isn't different just because I have a black belt. It just means, or a higher belt. It just means I know more jiu-jitsu. It's nothing, let's not get it twisted around here,
I mean, a lot of traditional, martial arts, especially with belt system, because I practiced Taekwondo before, and it's like the hierarchy is crazy. We have to bow and we have to
So I came from a wrestling background and there was no hierarchies like that. It was just like, all right, that guy's a really good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
There was no, there was a little bit of a hierarchy because you knew, all right, that's the stud wrestler.
Yeah.
That's the really stuff. But it was never but I also think wrestling is just such a hard sport. The practices are really, really hard that there was always a respect between everyone because it's like, all right, I may not be that good of a wrestler and the stud wrestler, but we're still doing a hard workout together and we're still, busting our ass together. There's a mutual, respect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
That's how I would run my gym.
Great. So, that's today's interview. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.